All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and this is the work session for the City of Minnetrista of May 4th, 2026. We have a number of items on our agenda. I'd like to ask that so I thought maybe this gentleman was going to be here. Since he's not, we're going to stick with the agenda as presented. So we'll first talk about the 2050 Comprehensive Plan update, Woodland Cove Crosswalk, and then the joint letter about the roundabouts with St. Bonnie, and then Fire District Resolution with St. Bonnie. Then we're going to have a closed session. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to staff. Is that David?
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Mayor and Council. I think it's no surprise it's come up, I think, here in recent discussions, whether it's strategic planning or recent development proposals that we've had. It's that time of in the every 10 years, we are required by state law to update our comprehensive plan. Goes back to the Municipal Land Planning Act of 1967 that was enacted in Minnesota. The next go round will be due by December 31st of 2028. That is how long we have to submit our plan to the Met Council for their review and approval. So as part of that, I've got two different things listed here in the staff report that we wanted to just touch base with the council on to make sure we're tracking in the right direction. And also, these are two very key steps in the process to initiate the updating of our comp plan. So first would be to look to get a proposal from WSB and Associates, our engineering firm. This is what we did last time when we updated our comprehensive plan. We got a proposal from them and approved that and worked very well with them throughout that process. So our hope is to go ahead and get a proposal from them, and we'd bring that back to you, of course, for approval at a future meeting. So wanted to do a touch point on that with the council. As outlined in the report, there's many reasons why it seems to make a lot of sense why you'd want to utilize your engineering consulting firm. The knowledge, the information that they have, it just goes a long ways in helping to be efficient and cost effective throughout the process. And then secondly, the establishing of a steering committee is also something that we should probably get going on, and wanted to do a touch point again with council on what your thoughts were on who would serve on that committee. Ideally, it'd be a 7-person committee, but and there's a couple different options listed there, of course, about how you could go about that. But bear in mind, as you're well aware, we are having problems the way it is filling our planning commission and our parks commission. We currently don't have a full park commission. And for whatever reason, we have not had a full 7-member planning commission very often show up. I mean, we have quorums and we're getting business done, and that's fine. And it's working fine, but just bear that in mind that we're now asking people to do more, and the difficulty that we might run into trying to do that. So wanted to touch base on what your thoughts are there. We'd probably do similar to what we did last time. The steering committee would meet the same once a month, the same night as the planning commission does. It'd be an hour, probably be like 5 to 6 o'clock is what we'd have slated for the steering committee, because then the planning commission meeting would start at 6:30. So that's what we'd be looking to do from a meeting standpoint. There may be a month or two where we might have to meet a second time, but hopefully not. It'd just be the once a month meeting requirement for the steering committee. And whether or not council wants to actually have someone on that committee, or if you want to do the rotating liaison thing like you've done, or whatever you want to do there. But probably good to have someone from council. We had someone from council last time that was on, and actually flipped because she left, Patricia left, and then Mike Molitor was promoting, went from planning commission to council, and then he was the liaison. So, or he was on the steering committee. So just wanted to, again, touch base, make sure we're going in the right direction, and then get your thoughts on the steering committee, and we can start asking people who would be willing to be on that.
I'm going to start out real quick. So one thing, I don't want to jump the gun here, because I kind of want to make sure that no housing bill is passed, or at least, that supersedes local zoning and planning for this year at least. Because if it does, this is gonna change. This whole thing is gonna change. We still have to do it, but it seems ridiculous because if they can just come in and do whatever they want, our plan is gonna it's not gonna be worth anything.
Well, this is, so the proposal would be, it's a budgeted item for next year.
Right.
So, and in terms of getting a steering committee together and start laying the groundwork, I think we have to.
Yeah, I
So,
don't, yeah,
We have to get started at least, and the bulk of the work won't be till next year,
Mhm.
and you'll know more obviously
Yeah.
then
Okay,
about the housing bill.
yeah, yeah.
How much is anticipated to change between our 2040 plan and the 2050 plan?
Well, there's changes now. There's a big changes with water resources and climate is per the Imagine 2050 that each community has to address. So there's bigger changes there that are gonna have to occur.
Like, could you be more specific?
Well, if I could, so there's, Met Council gives us things that we have to include before they'll actually accept it, right? Some of those things are kind of unknown, but they did do their Imagine 2050, which the product, one of the products was this 3.5 units per acre. They
Mhm.
just enacted that before kind of the comp plan was due, unfortunately. So I don't know if we know the details on those things, but like as far as other updates, we're gonna have to look at larger sewer shed areas, watershed areas, things like that with some of the growth that's expected, up in the bowl area, a Crotty area. Those things will have to be included in there. We'll have to look out much farther. Those things aren't in our current plan.
Right,
So they'll be
they're
up-
gonna be developed, so we already know that. That doesn't take 7 people to decide to make sure that can be developed. We got that already.
Well, there'll be other, it depends on how many units that we are gonna be on the hook for. So I don't know what that number is gonna be.
Well, it will be 3.5 units per.
No, I
acre.
don't, yeah, but they usually assign us a certain number of units that we have to have. So in other words, they might say you have to absorb 1,000 units. So figure out how you want to do that. That's, I think that's correct.
Potentially, it just,
Yeah.
but the problem is there's so many moving parts right now where we're
Yeah.
at and what we have developed, or what we
Right,
don't know what is or isn't is real yet between Akrati and Bull.
right. So, it's more than just figuring out housing units, and I don't know that,
Yeah, it's 13 chapters, and if we don't address all of what they have in their Imagine 2050, they won't approve it.
Right, so what happens if they don't?
Yeah.
then you can't develop.
Well,
Can I ask a question? This
Yeah.
might
They'll
be
deny
really-
you sewer, yeah. They won't give you sewer permits to hook up your houses.
Aren't
okay.
people leaving Minnesota faster than they're coming into Minnesota? Who says we're not really growing this fast?
We are, the rest of the
Well,
state is.
is the Met Council looking at the communities that just have more land and there are empty buildings downtown Minneapolis that could be filled. I just don't understand why we're being forced to grow.
No,
I know sustainable growth is
Yeah.
something,
right.
but is 1,000 more heads?
I don't know that that's the number. I'm just saying they usually give you a certain number of units that you have to absorb, and then you have to do 3.5 units. It has to equal an average of 3.5 units. So they say, well, we anticipate growth to happen here. This is what we anticipate. And so
And we still don't know that.
we
How
still
do they
don't know.
We don't know that they're gonna, we have we might be fine.
Yeah.
In terms of
Right,
adding more.
okay.
But if you want to, you can.
Right. And we may want to grow a little bit more than,
Yeah.
we have to kind of to cover our water infrastructure. And so it's a matter of where and how. I guess that's the biggest issue. But there's other things like, but my question, or maybe, can we somehow just adopt a lot of the things that are in our current plan? Like transportation, that's kind of not going to change a whole lot, right?
Uh,
Well, they can't make us. what are they gonna do? Make us put a bus stop in somewhere? I mean, like we're not putting in rail lines or anything like that. I mean, that would be, we barely have roads that we control now. Most of our roads that would be that are county or, yeah, county roads. So, I mean, like, we have no control over that anyways. If they want to put a light rail on 7, we can't do anything. So, I mean, like that stuff, those aren't our roads. So how much is really going to change between our 2040 and our 2050, no matter what rules they put in? I guess
Well,
I-
could I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Okay. Well, as the mayor mentioned, the 3.5, that's for the whole city. And so when you think about that, we want to have less density in most of the city because it's so big, a big geographic area, and then maybe, get a much more dense, like the apartment building along 7. And so that's where, we really have to focus our efforts on of thinking about, where can we put this growth so that it's logical and it preserves as much of the kind of rural feel, as possible. So that's really the part that we have control over.
So Allison, you wanted to say something about roads?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may. So I think there's some high level components of the comprehensive plan that, regardless of where the Met Council comes in at with unit counts, speaking from a water and sewer infrastructure, for example, you take a look at where do you extend, how do you extend sewer to serve certain areas? And then included in that, you do the high level calculations of units per acre and so on. But there's some components on that will help the city facilitate growth and knowing what areas need to develop first, where do you extend the sanitary sewer from, what water main looping and water main sizing would you need, et cetera. Another component with the water resources is my understanding now, instead of having, certain watershed districts documents updated separately from the comprehensive plan process, they're now looking to have that included in the comprehensive plan process. So there are components that the city's already doing that were independent of the comprehensive plan previously, but are now going to be part of the comprehensive plan. And then with traffic, certainly there'll be some changes with anticipated growth because you have those areas that you look at and what the trip generation would be. And certainly with the Highway 7 corridor coming in with the plan that they have, that would be something that we would recommend including in the comprehensive plan update. So those are just a few items that, regardless of what the Met Council comes out with unit counts, really help staff from a planning perspective and looking at logical sequence of development and assisting us in when developers come looking.
Don't we already have that?
Well, let's hold on. I think that the issue or what David is saying is we need to decide tonight, do we want to create a 7-member, whatever number committee? Because we have to do this. I mean, and if we don't, like he said, they can hold up sewer permits. And then what do? You have a development that doesn't have sewer. So they kind of have you, yeah. And so I think, so we have to do it. So I think he's just saying, what are the first steps in doing it? Maybe we can at some point talk, we really need to probably refresh ourselves regarding the comprehensive plan. I'm not really excited about having to read 500, 600, 700 pages or more. I don't know how many pages this is. It's a big document. It's a big document. But, and I think last time what we did is the committee, and Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, the committee really focused more on units and housing and density. I think that was their primary focus, if I'm not mistaken, because yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And Mike Molitor actually led that. He had the vision to think about, keeping the density in one area. And so as a result, a lot of the development, that's why it looks the way it does. So
Right.
it did have a big impact.
So again, tonight, it's like, do you want to do rotating council in and out of the committee? I think that would probably be most fair rather than somebody getting, or two people getting,
Well, and I was gonna ask, if we're having problems getting people coming to the planning commissions on Mondays, like in general, does it make sense to do it on a different day of the week in hopes of getting people who are more available? I mean, is it the day of the week that's not working for our planning commission members?
Hard to say. I mean, a lot of it's due to travel. It seems like,
Mhm.
or illness. There's been that too. We can ask them if it.
Because I know parks used to meet on Tuesdays, so maybe like a Tuesday,
Mhm.
if that works better, just to offset in case.
Yeah, we can certainly ask. I was just thinking in my head about publications and what that might do. We have to post the problem is with our paper and their deadlines of posting it to the paper. So we'd have to play around with that, but we can certainly ask them if there's a better day.
Okay. I mean, I just meant for like this committee, not necessarily like moving the planning commission or anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
just
what
this
David
committee.
was trying to do is maybe streamline it a little
Right.
bit so you don't have two nights where you have to be.
if it's just the plan, I mean, if we're going just after the planning commissioners, they're coming anyway.
Right.
Council members coming anyway,
Mhm.
staff's here anyway. It's not another evening, if you will.
Mhm.
It worked, like I said, last time it worked well. In about a year, there's about 12 or so chapters.
Right.
Basically, a chapter, a meeting is what we would do, or the goal was
Mhm.
to go through a chapter for each month. And then, of course, we'll have a couple community meetings.
Right, you have to have community engagement.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Okay. And then what's like an estimated cost from WSB?
I think last time, it was 118 is what the final bill came to.
My question would be is there no way of, how do you say, combining, trying to do it with another community of similar size and similar that we are? I mean, like I'm thinking of Corcoran, Medina, they're close by, especially Medina, they're similar size. Corcoran is a growing community. I mean, it seems to me that they did look at one time doing one plan, it was for the watershed because every watershed was doing a different plan or a plan. And then they decided, well, what if we just did one plan and people could kind of tweak it a little bit for their own cities? Because if every city has to pay 120 grand, that seems like,
That's little. Victoria's paying 250.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just
That's
insane.
that's this low
Yeah,
compared to
We're
what
doing
other
it
communities are
huge.
paying.
but I know that, but
That's
that
still
seems
high,
that, yeah.
They're doing-
especially if a lot of the
I
stuff.
mean, has anybody thought about that? I mean,
not-
Well, it's impossible. Each community has separate system statements and there's no way that you could, from a comp plan standpoint, to meet the Met Council.
Yeah, it'd be very.
I don't know. I mean, us in St. Bonnie, that might make some sense.
okay, but they don't have, do
But-
they have to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Everybody in the 7-county metro area.
Okay.
Every community.
okay.
1960, we do this every year.
I know, every 10 years we have to.
Well, no, every time it comes up, I know nobody likes it and nobody in the 7-county metro area likes it, but it's
Yeah.
been going on since 1967. So until they change that.
I know.
But the other question, other than the formation of the group is, are you okay with WSB providing this? I would say that that's the most cost effective.
Well, I mean, what's the other option?
Yeah,
We can do an RFQ and interview folks and,
I think we have to do that.
Well, WSB then is also, they have to review the work of whoever the third party consultant is from the engineering standpoint. They're a consulting engineer.
So then you'd be paying double on some of it.
so yeah. And I mean, they did it before, if I may, they did it before. They have all the maps, they have all the context. Like David said, they work with the community. You bring in like a Bolton and Mink or whoever else does these. There's all kinds of different groups that do that. They're going to be starting from scratch and they're either going to have to get the
Do you
data.
have to go out for an RFP, Sarah? Because of the cost?
No,
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this is exempt from the competitive bidding requirements because it involves professional services. So no RFP is required.
No. I just can hear certain members of the community saying, well, isn't that convenient for WSB? That,
But it's convenient for us too, though, you know.
Yeah, if we're gonna
Yeah.
have to pay them just to review it after the fact, it makes no sense to not just have them do it to begin with.
So here's the thing, we do need to have some kind of dollar amount by June, August, kind of be for budgeting purposes.
That's why I'm.
That's why you're bringing it up. That's why you're bringing it up. So let's do this. Let's just say, yes, WSB, give us an RFP, give us a quote or whatever.
Proposal.
And let's then also determine that, yeah, okay, we'll meet Mondays before the planning commission meeting so that we can kind of streamline things. And
How does that work if we have a parks meeting too?
We'll figure it out.
yeah, we'll have to figure that out,
The
right?
parks meeting for this next year, hopefully what we need to do with the Parks Commission will be taken care of by the time this gets going. But, I guess something else could come in, but,
Right,
we'll figure it out.
okay. And then, so we'll do that. And then we're looking at possibly a 7-member committee consisting of, do you think you want to do 2 council members or 1 council member liaison alternating or,
I think 2.
okay. And then we'll check with, see, the problem with parks is there's only like 4 people on parks and one of them I think is actually parks and planning.
Cool.
2 of them.
2 of them are, so, so I think then we should do, say, 2 people from parks and planning, whatever. And
3
then
residents.
see if we can get 2 or 3 residents.
I just sent out a text to some really competent people that,
Yeah,
I'd be
just
good.
Yeah.
just-
Don't
why
think
don't we
about
just
it.
see how many residents want to do it?
yeah,
I mean,
we could all reach out to a few people.
Well, I think it's good to have, a couple of planning commissioners because they kind of know some of the zoning and all of those issues.
Yeah,
And it's good to have two council members, but maybe then ask if there's people at large. Maybe we can try and get 3 people at large.
Okay.
And if we can't, then
and we have 5.
we have 5.
Should we do an application process
Yeah.
where we'll develop a little application
Sure.
similar to our
Yeah.
park? We'll just use that one and then have it be for the comp plan.
And who knows, maybe more people will be interested because it's just a 1-year commitment, versus if it's parks or planning, then it's 4 years, so maybe they'd be more interested. Okay. All right.
And just so you're aware, Peter fell off,
We saw.
Uh-oh. Okay.
just so you know,
We lost Peter.
which we're not voting on anything. This is a work session, but that could be problematic during the regular
Yeah,
meeting.
okay. Now we're, Woodland Cove Crosswalk Pedestrian Feature. Do you have everything you need, Peter? Okay. Allison, or who's taking this? Okay,
I'll take it. Thank you, Mayor Whalen, Council. This item is following up from a March 23rd session of City Council meeting where a resident from Woodland Cove came up during persons to be heard, raising some concerns and asking for a 4-way stop and crosswalks at Woodland Cove Boulevard, Lotus Drive, near the auxiliary pool, is in my mind what I call it.
No, it's a little pool.
The little pool?
It's
Okay.
the little pool.
So as staff, we took a look at that from a technical perspective. First, from the 4-way stop perspective, there are some guidelines that we have as far as stopping sight distance and I won't bore you with details, but vertical curves, horizontal curves. And after looking at that, we found that there is support for the installation of a 4-way stop based on those technical components. So we are recommending that those be put in. And then we also, when we come to crosswalks, the manual that we use to guide us through these processes recommends a full out study, and staff didn't think that was necessary. So we took a look at it. We're like, well, it's a 4-way. We're recommending a 4-way stop. It's high pedestrian generation in the summer, right? It's certainly, and so staff would be supportive of installing a crosswalk at that location as well. A third item that was not brought up at that council meeting, but has come to Public Works attention is the pedestrian crossing sign, the existing sign at the regional trail crossing at Woodland Cove Boulevard. And there's a request to replace those with LED pedestrian crossing signs. I believe it's a push button one. And so we included that in the packet here since we were already in the neighborhood talking about stop signs and crossing sign requests. So I'm bringing that to council's attention as well, based on what Public Works has received a request for, and some costs are provided in the packet as well. Those are on page 6 of the packet. So there's a little bit of work that would need to be done in order to install the crosswalk at the little pool. There's those, we call them ADA compliant pedestrian curb ramps. What those are is where the curb line drops down so that you don't have to step down onto the road. And then it has those little bumps, they're called truncated domes, that would need to be installed at the one intersection. That would be an estimated cost of $2,000. And then the stop signs and the temporary stop ahead signs would be another $500. So we're looking at about $2,500 for what the request was.
And the striping?
And some striping as well. The striping's, I think, only a few $100s. Gary, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that the striping's very expensive.
Okay.
My understanding is the resident that requested these indicated that we could talk to the HOA and see if there would be a cost, if they would be amenable to cost share. So that's direction that staff is asking council for this evening. Based on what we're seeing for costs, if you would like us to go back to the HOA and request a cost share, we're happy to do that. And then additionally, I'm not sure where we're at with the LED pedestrian crossing signs, but as you can see, that's just price tag of over $6,000. So again, we're looking for council direction on, first, do you support the staff recommendation for the 4-way stop crosswalk at the little pool? And then second, what would you like us to do as far as cost share request?
Why are the LED pedestrian crossing signs so expensive? Like a quick Google search shows them to be substantially cheaper.
I can't speak specifically. Gary can certainly chime in here. Certainly there are some electrical components. I don't know. I think it's a solar powered, and I don't know if that's a differentiator. Gary, if you can provide some feedback on that.
Yeah, I'm not certain. That's what our supplier quoted for us, and these are the ADA recommended out of the traffic control device too. I mean, they're the current ones that MnDOT and the federal have deemed usable at these intersections. So they are LED or solar recharged batteries in there too. So we can definitely do some research and see if there's other options available at a lower price. I have no problem doing that.
And then the ones at McIntoons have those stupid circular lights all over the shape. Is it possible just to get the ones that just have the 2 solid bars under them that are a lot more noticeable when driving at night?
Instead of being around the sign itself, do
Yes.
the above or bar, the above or below bar. We can look into that and see what that would cost.
Yeah, those the ones at McIntoons are horrible.
Mhm.
And they definitely need to be push button and not on all the time.
Yeah, that's
That
what
would be
these
nice.
would be.
Yeah. So here's my recommendation, that we do the ADA compliant pedestrian curb ramp and the stop signs and stop ahead signs for $2,500, or maybe a few $100s more for the striping. And that we talk to the HOA to ask them to flip for the LED pedestrian crossing signs, because that was their request. So, I mean, I think we could ask them if they would be, because it's mostly people in the HOA that use this.
I don't have a problem with any of it. This is actually where I said we should put the crossing last year when the people came and wanted the one a block away. I said we should have done this then. So
All right.
I don't have a problem with any of
Is
that.
that city's jurisdiction though? Because isn't that a parks ramp or trail? That's the city's still responsible for the crossing signs for the park district trails.
It is a city owned yet at this point. They have nothing has been turned over to the Three Rivers Park yet.
So it's still ours. Yeah. And we don't have to have the lights, but I mean, they're an extra feature.
It's a long stretch. It's not a bad idea. There's a lot of kids that go flying through there.
I mean, let's just at least
Yeah, ask
do
the
the
HOA.
ask the HOA if they're willing to help or pay for that. And then Gary's going to look into seeing if there's something else that's a little less expensive too. And then we can,
The HOA helped pay for the ones at Macinthunes, didn't they? Or was that Macinthunes who helped? I thought somebody cost shared with us on the Macinthunes ones.
No,
the
the
map.
city
Yes.
paid for that 100%.
okay.
Mm.
Peter, and you want to chime in anything?
Well, I just got in on the last part, so no, I guess I'll just. I'll just
Okay, motion
listen.
passes. No. Okay. Okay, then I think that's gives you enough direction.
Yeah, so just to make sure I'm clear, so the the council is supportive of paying for the curb ramp, stop signs and striping at the little pool. And then the request is to go ask for the HOA to help pay for the LED pedestrian crossing signs and look at alternatives to the ones, instead of having the lights around the perimeter of the sign with a flashing bar instead.
Okay,
Okay, all right, thank you.
all right. Joint letter about regarding the roundabout with St. Bonnie.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, we can, I guess Lisa and myself can kind of tag team this. Since it'll be a letter that potentially she signs along with the mayor of St. Bonifacius. But really what it does is it urges MnDOT to move the roundabout that's planned at County Road 92 and 7 to the Wildwood Hunters Trail and Wildwood and 7 area. So urging them to do that, at least engage in a conversation with us about that to see if there's a possibility to move that. So I think what we're looking for is just nodding, like you guys are okay with that. And then if that's okay, then we'll have Lisa sign this and send it off to our rep at MnDOT and likely we'll engage with them in the future.
So they already, what they're planning on right now is a roundabout at 92 and 7. And they already have a light there with turn lanes. So what we're saying is, but the Wildwood and the Hunter's Trail those entrances onto 7 are somewhat problematic. So what we're saying is, well, could you take the money that you would be using at 92 and 7 and instead transfer that and align the Wildwood and Hunter's Trail intersections or entrances together and do a roundabout there instead. So and St. Bonnie would love to have that because a lot of big, huge semis use Wildwood to enter onto 92. And that's going right through a small neighborhood of theirs. So they're very much in favor of this as well. So it will benefit both communities. Now, if they have enough money to do both roundabouts at 92 and Wildwood, well, that's up to them. But we're just asking if they can make that change. So if you're all okay with that? Okay.
I concur.
Peter, you're okay?
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay. Next, the fire district resolution with St. Bonnie.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of council, this resolution probably looks very similar as we kind of reused it from the JPA kind of acknowledgement with Mound and St. Bonifacius and Spring Park. But what this stems from is a meeting that we had with St. Bonifacius. When I say we, it was myself, Mayor Whalen, Councilmember Refkin, talking about the possibility of forming a fire district with just St. Bonifacius. That would only be in the area that St. Bonifacius currently serves in Minnetrista. So basically a snapshot of the current agreement that we have with them, but under the district model. What this resolution does is just indicate support from city council to proceed with examining this. So the team would likely be the city administrator in St. Bonifacius, myself, and the fire chief in St. Bonifacius, Eric Anderson, working on some of the details and then bringing that back to the various city councils and starting that process. would entail likely bringing in the state fire marshal group that I think we're familiar with, that we're part of that partnership meeting, and kind of going through that process to see once if we can get this district set up with St. Bonnie. And then with hopes that the long-term plan would be that Mound Spring Park could potentially jump into that when the time is right. So looking for direction, if this is something that we want to see at the next city council meeting, we can then throw that on the agenda and adopt this.
Yeah, I just had a question about the be it further resolved, and then it has the joint powers agreement line in there.
Oh.
I don't know why that's there.
Should be fire district.
So just,
We're trying to move.
we're trying to
forward,
move forward with the fire district.
And then when
Uh.
Mound figures out their pension issues, ideally they would join us.
They could if they wanted.
If they wanted to.
Yeah.
They could.
So
I think it's great.
Okay, we'll bring it back.
A lot of work into that.
Yeah.
more meetings.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So next, we have a closed session, so we can close the door. Yeah. So we are going to go into closed session. This is pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.05, subdivision. It's called attorney-client privilege to discuss pending litigation. It's the city of Minnetrista versus Sunnyfield LLC et al. And it's court file number 27-CV 245609. And present, so I'm going to open up the closed session.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah, okay. I was just going to ask you.
Need a motion.
you'll need a motion and a second to go into closed session, and then you
Okay.
can shut it down.
All right. Can we close the work session?
Nope, you're just going into closed session, so let's just
Okay.
entertain a motion
Okay,
to go
all
into
right.
closed session and.
Motion
still
to
come in.
open a closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13.
D, 0.
.05 subdivision 3B attorney-client privilege to discuss pending litigation. Again, City of Minnetrista v. 1205 Sunnyfield LLC, et cetera. Court file number 27-CV 245609.
Seconded.